Hong Kong's armed riot police have become social media stars in China, where women are flooding them with marriage proposals. Although the police force have become despised figures for pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong over the last few months, they are treated like celebrities across the border in China. Tensions between the police force and protesters came to a head this week as riot officers shot two teenagers. Both of the boys, aged 14 and 18, are still in hospital in stable conditions. Enraged protesters took to the streets wearing face masks, despite a colonial-era emergency ban on them, and screamed at the dirty cops. In turn, police have been known to show violence towards protesters and call them cockroaches. However, the heavily muscled officers have gained thousands of followers on China's most popular social media site Weibo. Women are flocking to the site to propose to the officers and ask to have their babies. The officers are lauded in China for defending the sovereignty of the country. One of the most revered officers, Lau Chak-K, 46, has a whopping 774,000 followers on social media and has been nicknamed Bald Lao Sir. He came under fire from Hong Kong pro-democracy protesters for pointing a shotgun at demonstrators outside a police station in late July. But he was invited as a guest of honor to Beijing's Grand Military Parade that celebrates China's National Day on October 1st. Another favorite officer, Chun Sir, posts pictures of him working out in the gym to his 73,000 followers. According to The Telegraph, one woman said, "Wow, those biceps are going to scare all cockroaches away." "I'm willing to bear your babies." Protests have become increasingly more violent in Hong Kong as demonstrators continue to start fires in train stations and wreck shops. The protests on Friday erupted hours after Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam invoked colonial-era emergency powers for the first time in more than 50 years to ban the face masks demonstrators used to hide their identities. Beijing-backed Lam said the night's extreme violence justified the use of the emergency law. The radical behavior of rioters took Hong Kong through a very dark night, leaving society today half paralyzed, she said in pre-recorded remarks. But undeterred by the ban and transport shutdown, several hundred pro-democracy protesters, many wearing masks, took to the streets yesterday, marching through the normally bustling central district of Causeway Bay. Shouting "wearing mask is not a crime," tens of thousands of protesters braved the rain today to march in central Hong Kong as a court rejected a second legal attempt to block the mask ban. Lawmaker Dennis Kwok said the High Court refused to grant an injunction on the mask ban, but it agreed to discuss it later this month. Many malls, shops and the entire MTR network of subways and trains shut yesterday following the overnight rampage. About half of the city's 94 subway stations reopened today, but many malls, especially in the Causeway Bay shopping district, remain shuttered as thousands of protesters marched with umbrellas while wearing face masks. Critics fear the use of the Emergency Regulations Ordinance that gives Lam broad powers to implement any measure she deems necessary in an emergency would pave the way for more draconian regulations. The law was enacted by British colonial rulers in 1922 to quell a seamen's strike and last used in 1967 to crush riots. Lam has not ruled out further measures if violence continues. This emergency law is so ancient and draconian. Carrie Lam is using it as some sort of weapon of mass destruction to nuke Hong Kong, said legislator Claudia No. The protest movement started in June over a now-abandoned bill that would have allowed criminal suspects to be extradited for trial in mainland China. But it has now become an anti-China movement as protesters demand more democratic rights, including direct elections for the city's leader and police accountability. The unrest has plunged Hong Kong into its biggest political crisis since its handover from Britain to China in 1997 under a one-country, two-systems formula that granted it autonomy and broad freedoms not enjoyed on the mainland.